everybody, I'm here with Grzegorz Kowalski and we are talking about white Eldrazi. Okay, so this is a pretty unique deck choice for this weekend. Why did you want to go with this deck?
I think I didn't want to go with any of tier 1 modern decks because I think Dredge or Throne, the best decks in modern are pretty well known and pretty much hated. Everyone plays Graveyard Hate, everyone plays Land Hate, Blood Moons, the Dumping Sphere, I think, the 2 mana sphere. So I wanted to have something new, and I believe white Eldrazi abuses both new rules on this event because it's pretty good with public deck lists, and it's also pretty good with London Mulligan because you can aggressively mulligan to, when you know your opponent's deck list, you know what you're looking for. So London Mulligan helps you a lot to find either Talia or Chalice or whatever you need in the matchup.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of your cards from this deck. Here's your Eldrazi suite. We've got Eldrazi Displacer, Reality Smasher, Thought-Knot Seer, and then, of course, Eldrazi Temple.
Yeah. This is the power package of the deck because, the rest of your deck are just cards that hate other people. So you can't give them a lot of time. You can play Chalice on 1 or play Leon Arbiter or Talia and make them their life worse, but you have something to close the game. And I found white package to be the best. Displacer is kinda it's both power package because it hits a lot, and it's also kinda hate card because it taps all the worm coils, stuff.
You can get rid of counters.
Yeah, exactly. So this is this is the reason I'm playing white basically over, for example, red or green. And
Thought-Knot Seer is just a house.
Oh yeah, especially with Simic Spirit Guide, the red mana dork. It was perfect. I'm really often casting it turn 2, which is turn 2,
That's
make
absurd.
a 4/4, exile a card. That's great, yeah.
Well, speaking of Simian Spirit Guide, let's take a look at some more of your cards here and move on to our next card. Simian Spirit Guide, a full 4 of Chalice of the Void, same story, and Ghost Quarter, plus Gemstone Caverns. Let's start down with the Spirit Guide. I mean, you're ramping. This is obvious. Chalice of the Void, this is a hate card to end all hate cards here.
Oh yeah, this is all this deck is about. Simian Spirit Guide and Gemstone Caverns are both to help you play your hate card on turn 2. And you have Chalice, you have Talia, you have Leon Arbiter, which we see next, I believe. So the main goal is to just cast any of those 12 cards on turn 1, possibly.
And just get your engine on the road, get it going, and take
just
over the game.
Don't let them cast spells, counter them, or don't let them shuffle, don't let them fetch land for a dual land, for example. I won a lot of games just playing Leon Arbiter on turn 1 when my opponent just played fetch land, and
oh yeah,
the game's over. Yeah.
That's it. Well, speaking of Leon Arbiter, let's take a look at some of what I call your Taxes suite here.
Oh, yeah.
Where we've got 4 copies of the Arbiter, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and Thalia, Heretic Cathar. So obviously all just very mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to do. You want make other people life worse, and you want them to hate the game. So this is what's the goal. I found Talia, the big one, being pretty good, especially because tapping your opponent's land. It's pretty great, kind of combo with the small Talia when you just make them spells cost more, and you also make their lands enters the battlefield tapped, which is double tax.
And you mentioned open deck lists being something that this deck likes because you can choose which of your hate cards to get out first.
Yeah, exactly. Playing on model, it was a big issue because sometimes I just played, I don't know, exile the ape and play Chalice on 1, and it turns out I'm playing against, let's say, Affinity, and if I played the Chalice on 0, I would easily win the game, but on 1, it didn't do anything. So I think, knowing before the match starts what their opponent is playing is huge for this deck.
All right, well, let's move on and take a look at some of your cards here. Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, 4 copies of Dismember, and Warping Whale, and these all kind of have different uses, and Gideon, a nod to the fair decks.
I mean, yeah, Gideon is the most random card, and also my last addition, because I believe the good matchup of this deck are the matchups where Chalice on 1 is good. These is all good matchups, and the bad matchups are fair decks when Chalice doesn't really help, Jund, the green-black, mid-range, everything that don't care about Chalice. And Gideon is the best card I could find being good against fair decks, so it kind of tries to help in my bad matchups.
And is Dismember here, we've got 4 copies for Thing in the Ice?
Mostly, yeah. Like the problem with this deck is I would love to play Path to Exile, but if my main goal is to cast Chalice of the Void on turn one, I can't really play Path to Exile, so I have to play different removal spells. And yeah, like you said, I need ways to deal with Thingy in the Eyes or some other big stuff, like against humans, it's obviously great.
And how about Warping Whale here, just a single card?
This is pretty much random. I just found it online and they didn't really understand it, but it's super flexible. It can counter Terminus, it can exile Dark Confidant. Even sometimes, like I had games when my opponent play Liliana of the Void, minus to kill my Smasher, and in response they just make a 1/1, sack the 1/1 and kill him with Smasher. So it's super flexible. It's kind of weak card, but it's like the perfect 60 slot. So.
All right, let's take a look at your lands here. What story do we have to tell with here? We've got 4 copies of Horizon Canopy, a Shepherd Dunes, and of course you got 1 Waste.
Oh yeah, Waste is pretty much, I'm playing 4 Ghost Quarters, so against Blood Moon decks, this deck is pretty weak because I need the colorless mana exactly. So I'm trying to keep up Ghost Quarter and being able to fetch for Waste to being able to cast my Eldrazi stuff. Horizon Canopy is obviously like the best land because it either gives you mana or cantrip in the late game. Like this deck sometimes floods out, you don't really have source for card advantage. So like having a land that can in the late game contribute to something else is pretty huge. The cool story is with Battlefield Forge. Like we started with Shepherd Dunes and Cavern Souls, but Cavern is pretty bad if you have like so many creature types because sometimes you want to name Eldrazi to make them uncounterable. Sometimes you need to name humans, like you have cats.
Sure.
Like, Cavern doesn't really work. So then we switched into Shepherd Dunes, but we figured out like I played a lot of matches on Modo, and I'm not sure if I did activate the second ability once, probably not. So you just figure out, let's play, like, this is basically dual land because it can give you white mana or just like waste mana. So it's your dual land for either Eldrazi or white taxes. So you figure out to just play Battlefield Forge and sometimes cast your Seaman Spirit Guide as a 2/2. Like, you know, like turn 6, if you draw a Seaman Spirit Guide, it doesn't do anything because you have your mana already. So if you can cast a 2/2, it's at least something.
Let's take a look at your final deck here. Here it is, White Eldrazi. For you in this tournament, what is the best thing about this deck?
I don't know. I mean, I just love to play unfair games, and I feel like this one like does it great. Especially, as I said before, with open deck lists, being able to like cast this and this on turn 1 is what I love. So that's kind of playstyle I like.
So what kind of player would like to play this kind of deck?
Probably players without friends. I mean, like,
you said it.
You're not gonna make friends playing a deck like this. If you want to play a modern, like, fair game, you shouldn't like try to make other people life worse. But this is what it is. I mean, I'm playing the tournament. I'm not trying to, you know. I mean, I obviously love the community and I have friends here. But since we are playing for a bigger stake, I'm gonna pick whatever.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I will pick whatever I think gives me the biggest chance for the win. So.
Well, it's a really cool deck. Thank you so much. More Magic coming up after this.